The hardest part for me in my journey was going to work all the time, W-2 employee, and just not being happy. And it's like, what else can I do? I didn't make enough money to go, let me just go try this new thing. I had time, but that was about it. AI is certainly a tool. I think the younger people think it's going to replace everything. But at the end of the day, there's still businesses about relationships, and you can't do all of this yourself. It is a crutch, but it's not going to take you to the finish line like a true, specialist actually could. The challenge I've had for years, when you run free webinars, to your point, you're getting tire kickers. I've had people show up. Literally, I would do a weekly webinar and people would show up every week. Man, I love it. I love learning from you. It's like, you haven't bought a thing. Money in motion stays in motion. Yeah. And the IRS wants you to be spending and using it to make the economy better. They don't want you to save. They don't want you to put money into some shoebox called a 401k that's stuck on Wall Street. It doesn't help the economy. They don't reward that. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cash Flow Conversations, where we interview entrepreneurs on their journey from W-2 to 1099 and their amazing story of how they created their business. Today we have Zach Hesterberg, and Zach is the creator and founder of paidevents.com. And I'm excited about today. I'm going to learn a lot. So this is it's fun to interview for everybody else to learn, but I'm going to learn a lot today about how to do paid events. So Zach, it's good to have you here.
Matt, absolute pleasure.
Love it, dude. So paidevents.com, give me a little bit of background on what that business actually is.
Yeah, the short and skinny of it is that we help expert-based businesses, whether coaches, consultants, professional services, even agencies. We help them design virtual events that are usually 1 or 2 hours a day for 2 or 3 days in a row, and they'll sell tickets, really cheap, affordable tickets, get as many people in the room as possible. They usually show up at a higher rate because they're paying customers, and then we'll teach them how to sell their higher ticket services in a one-to-many format. And so then by, call it day 2 or day 3, they give this big grandiose pitch. They get a bunch of, ideally they get a bunch of customers, and then, you collect their cash. And then at that point, it's like, well, hey, we converted this thing. It worked well. Let's just repeat successful actions. Let's do this again on a monthly or a quarterly basis. And that's kind of the short and skinny of it, is helping people sell more high ticket services.
Sell more high ticket services. And I saw on your website one of your testimonials with Michael Lush. I know Michael, and he's a raving fan. His comment was, I would drain my bank account every month if I could, to run more events because of the results that you get. You've done tens of thousands of sold tickets for paid events. Yeah. Now, before I dive, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say well over 60,000 at this point across all of our different clients.
It's crazy, man. So before I dive into more of the business, how does someone get started with paid events? I mean, what was the road like getting up to here?
Oh, I was born ready to do events. No, I started a Facebook ads agency back in the day, and that was in 2015, and started working with more and more personal brands. It wasn't necessarily a strategy. I didn't start the business saying, hey, I want to work with personal brands. I was a college kid just trying to work with small local businesses, getting them leads. And I didn't know how to grow my own business super well. So I started joining masterminds. As I was joining masterminds, I started meeting a lot of other coaches and consultants that were also in those groups. They just through kind of being in my world, they're like, oh, hey, you're also in this group. We trust you. Could you also help us run some of our own ads? And so then at that point, probably 2017, 2018, I started working with quite a few more personal brands and higher ticket services. And it was still, virtual events were not really my core focus by any means. They came up in 2020 when I had a client. He came to me wanting to help him run ads for a virtual event and just sell as many tickets as possible. And so at that point, I was like, well, yeah, ads are ads. They're pretty simple, and happy to help out with that, and helped him sell about 8,000 tickets for his virtual event. Little did I know at the time how many that actually is for a virtual event. It's actually huge for most people. And that event went really, really well. And then the next week, I had a different client ask me if I've ever done virtual event strategies before. I'm like, well, I just helped this other client out. Happy to help you out with that, kind of what we learned on that deal. And at that point, it just started to compound. And paidevents.com as a brand was founded in 2024, but I have been doing the events specifically since 2020. So cool. Yeah, just kind of one pivot at a time.
When you went to college, what were you studying?
Marketing, technically. Most people are like, oh, that makes sense. Fair. It does. I will say this. It was never my intention to go start a business. I was
really,
yeah. I was actually, I wanted to do marketing at Apple or Nike or something. And I had a buddy, he called me up my freshman year of college. He's like, hey, dude, I just got my summer internship locked in. And this was like October. I was like, what? What do you mean you got a summer internship? This is October. And he's like, well, it's a big organization, so I had to apply early. I'm like, who's it with? Freaking Secret Service, like the U.S. Secret Service. I'm like, what? And like,
Marketing?
yeah, no, not marketing, but
Oh, like,
no, he was in like political science, and I'm
okay.
like, "Well, okay, like, dude, good for you." He goes, dude, this call's not about me. He said, I'm calling you because I want to encourage you. I know you want to do marketing in a big, Apple or Nike or something, right? I said, yeah. He goes, do you really think that they're going to just hire some random kid at a small school they've never heard of just because you have a marketing degree? So, well, when you put it like that, probably not. And he said, Zach, you need to start getting internships like ASAP. And so, at that point, I just went all in on just trying to get internships with small businesses, learning more elements of marketing. And through 4 or 5 internships, I realized how big social media was becoming. This was 2015. And at that point, I'm like, well, I can probably just make money instead of doing unpaid internships. I could probably just charge businesses myself and just do this kind of freelance on the side. And then at that point, that's when I started to grow the business. I technically had my first client pay me $1,000 a month for marketing services before I even took a marketing class at our university. So yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Dude, that's cool. Congratulations. Looking back, do you think that was a good decision?
I'd say so. Yeah. I mean, hindsight's 2020, and technically, we never know what would happen if we made other decisions in our life. But I'm very, very thankful for the life that I've lived, and I'm very thankful for the experience I've had. And I was talking with someone actually, literally just yesterday. They were talking about like, oh, how'd you leave your job and get into entrepreneurship? I'm like, I am blessed to say I've literally never had a standard job. Like I didn't have to do that after I graduated college. I just went all in on entrepreneurship because I had some momentum. So I don't really know any different.
Dude, that's wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
the hardest part for me in my journey was uh, going to work all the time,
Yeah.
W-2 employee, and just
Yeah.
not being happy. And it's like, what else can I do? I didn't make enough money to go, let me just go try this new thing. I had time,
Yep.
but that was about it. And then I ended up taking a sales job and doubled my income in like 9 months. It
Oh,
was
let's go.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll never go back to architecture. I'm not going to go do drawing. You get paid to do drawings. They don't want to pay for the prints. They don't want to change. It's crazy business. But the world of marketing has changed so much in the last, 16 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude,
they're
it changes so much every 6 months.
literally now, especially now with AI, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable. I saw something about Meta connecting with paid ads,
Yeah.
and I don't know how true this is, but it's like, well, if that's true, these marketers just doing advertisements, what are they going to do? Is that
Yeah.
going to affect you?
Not entirely. No, it will help us. It won't hurt us by any means. But it is already helping us. Yeah. Like I've got one of the guys on my team. He is able to effectively manage ads without ever logging into Facebook once right now. He's been doing this for a little over a month straight now. And like he has his entire ads buying dashboard that he's custom made through an LLM through good old Claude code and a Facebook API. And
Dude,
dude, it's sick. It's way better than buying ads through normal Facebook ads manager. And so it's like,
I don't
I
think
don't know.
anybody
I,
really enjoyed
I
that.
look at AI as like it's like money in terms of people say like money's good or money's bad, and then there's the old adage of like money just makes you more of who you actually are. And I think AI is very similar. AI will show how resourceful and how skilled you actually already were. And if you're the type of person that you're lazy and you're just like wanting something else to do everything for you and you don't want to learn the real skills and you're not willing to put in the work, AI is going to show that you're truly a shortcutter. But if you're a baller and you know your stuff, AI is really going to help you out in whatever career you have.
I think that's actually very accurate. AI is certainly a tool. I think the younger people think it's going to replace everything,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, there's still businesses about relationships, and you can't do all of this yourself. If you could, it is a crutch, but it's not going to take you to the finish line like a true,
Yep.
specialist actually could. So all right. So we're going to talk about cash flow too. So,
Sure.
but before we go there, walk me through what's the difference between like a webinar
Uh-huh.
or um, a VSL versus a paid ad. What's the big difference there?
Okay. So three things. So paid events, webinars, and VSLs are all three separate things. For layman terms, let's just use the VSL stands for video sales letter, and that is essentially a pre-recorded video that someone will make that is usually hosted on a landing page. There's usually like a headline, a little video that will tell someone a little bit more about their service or their offer, and then invite them to either buy something below or book a call. And so it's kind of there as like a standalone, evergreen mechanism you're using for someone to go watch, kind of get themselves sold on taking the next action to go further down your sales pipeline. Um, that's what a VSL is. A webinar is usually a live version of that multiple people are all watching at the same time. So it's fully free to attend. It's free to register. You're usually going to have very low show rates because of that. Usually people, I mean, I'm literally speaking at WebinarCon later this year. I know webinars really, really well. Most people do around a 20% show rate. Some people will tell you they've got 10%. Some people will tell you they're balling and they're at 30%, but 20% is about an industry average. And then of the people that are there, they're pretty skeptical and they're tire kicking. They're kind of window shoppers, and
This is the free side, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like they're there to attend this presentation hoping to get a bunch of value so that way they don't have to pay you. Most of the people attending webinars are not there so they can pay you. They are there hoping they can get all the information they need so they don't have to pay you. You
Yeah.
really got to be an incredible sales pro and an incredible presenter to get someone on a free webinar to end up either pulling out their credit card 45 minutes later and saying, yeah, here's 3K, or hey, yeah, let me go ahead and book this call because I know this is probably going to be a 10 grand service or something. They're tough, but hey, I know people that are crushing with those. And then a paid virtual event is a little bit different. They're usually hosted over the course of a couple days instead of a standalone 60 or 90-minute presentation. They are also paid to attend. And some people will do these like in person. Some people do them virtually. We always recommend virtual. It's way easier for most people to get started.
Yeah.
But you're typically going to have a way higher show rate. 50 or 70% of the people will show up. And then because they've already paid you, they don't feel like this is some sales pitch in disguise. They're usually there because there's an expectation for real value to be given, and there should be real value given. And then by the time it comes to the end and you give an offer to work with you on a deeper level, it's not like you're trying to get this like freebie seeking lead to then pull out their credit card and work with you at this high, commitment. It's like, no, you're already a paying customer. Would you just like to continue this relationship? It's a little bit of a different dynamic. And people that aren't even the best sales pros still usually have a better conversion rate on these paid virtual events, from at least our experience.
And so it's a 2 to 3 day event.
Usually,
How long would the event be each day?
usually, I mean, 60 to 90 minutes. If you really want to go hog wild and crazy, like you go 2 hours. But anything past that, I mean, most people are going to start to lose attention and lose focus. So
Because
I
I've
would,
seen all day paid events, like 8 hour,
yeah,
6 hour things.
those are rough. I say they're rough for a couple reasons. People can get excited about them, but let's just be really, really honest. If you have 8 hours in front of your computer to watch someone's presentation, how likely is it that you're going to get distracted and pull up Slack, pull up your emails, scroll Facebook or scroll Instagram the second the presenter starts to wait, like just kind of like sway off in like how persuasive they are, or how engaging they are? It's going to be very likely you'll be pulled in a different direction over the course of that presentation. And then it's hard to get put back into focusing on that presentation again. And also, if you're doing an 8 hour presentation, you as a standalone presenter aren't doing an 8 hour presentation. You're usually having guest speakers. And if you're trying to convert people in the room into working with you on a deeper level, you do not need to be giving up your time in front of them to other people. You need to personally be, this is a personal conviction of mine, is that like if if you have a few hours you could spend with someone, you need to maximize that time with them. You don't want to share that time with someone else. That way someone else can be building a relationship with them. Like they need to be building that know, like, and trust factor with you if you are the person that would be selling something to them or giving them an offer to continue working with them after the end of the event. So
Yeah.
just get rid of the co-presenters that might do more harm than good. They might help you sell some extra tickets, but they don't usually help you convert more people into paying customers. That's just something that you need to spend more time with your customers on, and they don't need you for 8 hours, no matter
That's
how special we
interesting.
all think we are.
Well, I know, right? We all
Yeah.
think we're the greatest, and we have so much to give. But
I,
look at the goat, Hormozy. He did his events were free,
yep.
and that dude broke Guinness Book of World Records.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
his is a hybrid. It was free to register, but then you got a VIP ticket if you bought a book beforehand, or if you bought like 10 books or something beforehand. So his was technically a hybrid, but yeah.
Interesting. All right. Real quick, what price range do you typically see when you sell tickets for a virtual?
For like price range for the tickets?
Yeah, like a ticket price for the 3-day virtual event.
Yeah, big fan of single digit prices. $1, $5, $7, $9. I
That's
say
it.
that because yeah. Now I know there's going to be multiple things that come up for multiple people the second I say that. First person's going to say, "There's no way that my audience would attend that for $10 or $9. My audience is more, affluent. They wouldn't buy a ticket because there's too low of a perceived value." I've disproven this time after time after time. We have a client that sells an offer specifically to accredited investors. It's a crypto education offer for accredited investors that have at least 50 grand that they're willing to put into an investment. And they have no problem at all getting people to buy tickets and show up at a $9 price point. So he's proven it wrong. I've proven it wrong for ourselves. We sold a 15K offer direct to cold traffic on a $1 ticket. It was a 15K pay in full, no payment plan offered, no sales call offered. This was on hour number 2. And if you think about the person that's willing to pay 15K direct for an offer with no payment plan or anything, by hour number 2, it's the person with enough money to not think that's too much money. AKA, they're usually doing multi 6 figures, if not 7 figures.
But hold on a second. So it was $1 for the event, and then a $15,000 offer 2 hours into the webinar.
That's right.
How many did they sell?
This was me. I personally did this because I knew that people would have. There's resistance when people are like, "There's no way someone's going to show up at a low dollar price point." I said, "Okay, let me test it out at the most radical example." And so I did a $1 event. We sold 162 tickets. We had 82 people on at the time of the pitch, which was on day 2, and we had 3 people buy, which is not a great conversion rate. Fully transparent, 45K. I mean, cash in door, not bad. But it could have been significantly higher if I did a slightly different pitch style. If I did, and I know this because I repeated the event a month later and changed a couple things, and my conversion rate went from, what is that, like 2.8 or 3%? It went up to about 12% the very next event simply by offering a payment plan. So, I left a lot of money on the table, but I wanted to show people that it is possible. And sometimes,
what did you? All right, we're under the hood here, really quick.
Yeah.
What did you spend on ads?
There were 30 grand ish. So
you're net positive up front.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So this is what I find fascinating about your model. Okay. Let's talk about cash flow.
Yeah.
The challenge I've had for years, when you run free webinars, to your point, you're getting tire kickers. I've had people show up. Literally, I would do a weekly webinar and people would show up every week. Man, I love it. I love learning from you. It's like, you haven't bought a thing.
Yeah.
You haven't bought a thing. And I'm teaching all of these people, thousands, for free.
Yeah.
And so the idea of collecting cash up front and positive up front and having someone break out the wallet, I mean, I'm the first to testify there. If someone's got money involved in this next deal, they're going to start paying attention to it. Mm-hmm. So talk to me about the cash flow typically of an event. The goal is to be positive before the event even starts, right?
No. You keep in mind, I just said I spent like 30 grand on selling dollar tickets, and I only had $162 or $162 collected. Right now, I did have an upsell. I actually had two different upsells offered, so our AOV was a little bit higher. It's probably like $40 on the AOV, but still lost a lot of money hand over fist going into the event. So you're betting on yourself. You're betting on the probability and your ability as a speaker or presenter to be able to deliver a great presentation that would build up the correct amount of know, like, and trust factor necessary to get people to say, "Hey, I want to continue this relationship and I want to continue working with you in a deeper, more meaningful level." So there's that. And once again, I didn't make a ton of profit on that first event. About 30 grand in, 45K out. Not a super sexy payday. Not the worst thing in the world, but 15K profit for anyone with meaningful goals is like, it's not much. Yeah. Now, I repeated it just over 30 days later. Same exact ad spend in, about 30 grand in, got about 74K back just by changing up the pitch structure a little bit and the offer just a little bit. And I say that to say, people look at going into whether it's an event or almost I think this can be universal for most business investments. They look at it as in they're trying to hit a home run when really you just got to get on base. Because if you know how to get on base, you typically can go back up to plate the next time and get on base either more predictably or maybe get to second or third base the next time. And people usually get better and better and better with these events the more they host them because they start to see some nuances on how they can improve as a presenter. So keep that in mind. But yeah, it's all a loss leader model going into it.
Are you ever making money on the front end?
Not usually.
Interesting.
Let me tell you this. I've got a motto, which is I don't care to be right. I just want to make money and get results.
Hmm.
And what that means is that I'll happily check my ego at the door every single day to test either new things out to prove myself wrong and see that, hey, there might be a better way of doing things, or try an old thing that hasn't worked in a while, but who knows? Like, things come and go in marketing, as we talked about already. And so I'm continuing to try new things, but I'll let data be the ultimate judge as to whether I continue to do something or I don't do things. And we've tested out price points, pretty much every price point under the sun that you can imagine for virtual events. Free, $1, $5, $7, $9, 11, 17, 27, 37, 47, 77, 97, 147, 197, and 297. The data that we have suggests that most times when people try to charge around a $97 price point, because a lot of people look at like Myron Golden or Russell Brunson or bigger people in the space, they're like, oh, they do $97 tickets, so we should too. No, 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 you should not, unless you've got a large audience and a large amount of trust that they do.
Yeah.
Because most people, if you're doing cold traffic ads to sell a $97 ticket, you're usually looking at about an $800 to $1,000 cost of acquisition to sell that one ticket, which means you're losing 700 to 900 bucks on the front end for every purchaser. Like, that's absurd. And those
Wow.
people, they only show up marginally higher than a $7 ticket. Usually they're showing up at around a 70 to maybe 80% show rate, and they're going to buy at about the same back end rate. Because the person that can pay $97 doesn't mean they can't pay seven, and vice versa. The person that will pay you $7 doesn't mean they can't afford a $97 offer. The point is that people don't trust you enough as a cold advertiser that they say, yeah, I want to pay this rando person $100 right now. But hey, $7, whatever. I'm not concerned about losing $7. And so we found that the cost of acquisition for selling a $7 ticket or somewhere around there is so much cheaper that economically you end up making more profit in the back end. Usually you're paying $50 to maybe $150 total to get that initial sale, that $7 ticket.
For
And
$7. And you said it was like 800 for the 97?
yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty good.
ultimately, your net loss, your net cost to acquire that front end customer on a $7 ticket, you're looking at like 43 to $143. Not bad compared to 700 to $800 on that $97 customer. So then you still have about the same show rate, 50 to 70, maybe 75% show rates, and then the back end conversion rate's about the same as well. So anyway, that's why we do that.
That makes a lot of sense. I always thought that it should be a higher ticket, but you just proved that idea wrong through data.
Yeah, yeah, and just to be clear, on even the closest example, we tested this out. We had a client spending about 300 grand a month on ads for their event. They were hosting their event every single month, and this specific client built it around our $7 model. And they said, well, hey, let's just try a $17 ticket instead. We'd be curious if those people show up at a slightly better rate. We'd be curious if they want to convert at a better rate. And even if not, even if it's the same rate, if we could make an extra $10 on the front end, like, great. No, no, no. It was about a 50% higher cost to get someone to pay the $17 than it was the $7. And their specific event, they were spending about $100 to get someone to pay seven. And so then when they said, cool, let's do 17, it immediately shot up to about $150 to get someone to pay them 17 bucks. So it's like
Wow.
economically, it just doesn't make sense for most people, at least.
How long do you run ads before the event?
2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, so let's say I'm 30 grand in, and I'm 2 weeks into my advertising.
Mhm.
I host the event. What is the goal outcome on the back end? How much am I hoping to make? Like I don't know if you have to say average, but like when does it start to make sense for the entrepreneur?
Um, okay, so everyone's offer is going to be priced at a different rate, and everyone's going to convert at a slightly different rate. So that part's tough to say. I will say most of the people that we work with, their back end cost to acquire a customer, after all said and done, after all the different nuances, it's usually somewhere between 1,000 on the low end to maybe 2,000 on the high end. So I would not recommend doing this unless you have an offer that you're probably charging at least 5 grand for. Because if you're
Hmm.
charging 3 grand and then you're paying two grand to acquire a 3 grand customer, that's before you factor in cost of operations and everything else. Probably doesn't make much sense for you. But hey, if you've got a 5K offer, or especially like a 10 or 15 or 25K offer, we don't see the cost of acquisition go up just because you charge more. We've actually seen, like, we tested this out. One of my clients, Anthony Trucks, former NFL player. He teaches people how to get booked on bigger stages for like keynote engagements. So he got a 25K offer, and he did an event last year as the first event with us, and he had 9 people buy a 25K back end offer. He only spent 25K total in front end ads, which, for quick math on this, 25K divided by divided by 9 customers. Okay, sure, he paid $2,700 to acquire a $25,000 customer. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it works out, but yeah, I wouldn't try doing this unless you're going to sell a 5K offer or higher.
Well, that's a good filter. You know,
Yeah,
it's not a low ticket model.
yeah, yeah. And so, 30K ad spend for your specific example, I would say you're looking at somewhere between 15 and 30 clients you should get for that. And so you insert the math on whatever your offer price point is.
Beautiful. I love it, dude. All right, talk to me about cash flow for a second.
Cool.
When you have clients, do you
Mhm.
see what are the biggest mistakes you see them make after they have an event? They make some money. Do you see them blow it right away? Are they reinvesting? Do they want to do it
Fantastic question.
again? What's that?
Fantastic question. Everyone is different. I like to look at myself as a professional gambler, and
Oh
I
gosh,
so well. Hold on. Let me
you're not
specify.
gambling on spades and aces. You're gambling on yourself.
Yeah. I'm not a degenerate, not entirely. So, like, you're not gonna find me much at Caesar's Palace, and
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
do, I'll be at the Nobu or something downstairs. I'm not gonna be at the tables,
yeah.
but
I'd bring in $100 to the casino, and if I win money, I play with their money. I don't like gambling.
yeah. So, fully transparent, I probably I have an addictive personality, and so I think the Lord has been good to me. This is a total side note, but anytime I've ever tried gambling, I lose all of it almost instantly, and I think that is God's way of protecting me, because He knows darn good and well that if I ever win at a casino, I'm going to be hooked, and it's not going to be good. So, yeah, I've stopped. But anyway, cash flow with events, what I always recommend is, if you make it doesn't even matter how much you make, so long as you're profitable on your first event, reinvest almost every dollar of that profit into your ads for another event. And I call this playing with house money. And the point is, if you host your event the first time, you're likely, like, statistically speaking, about 84% of our clients have been profitable on their first ever event they've ever hosted with us. So more often than not, they are profitable. But that doesn't always mean they're going to love their profits. Like, just like on my first event, as I mentioned super transparently, I wasn't crazy profitable, but hey, I had enough profit that I said, this worked, but I think there's going to be some things I could do better next time. And I've got to plan. Like, it's almost like you're going into your first event, not even trying to hit that home run. You're not trying to look for anything special. You're just trying to get on base so you can afford to go back up to bat again. And so, cool, go into that second event, spend pretty much everything you spent the first time, plus whatever the profit was that you made from that first event.
So in
And
your
then,
example, it'd be the next event you would spend 45,000 on ads. If you put
yeah,
in 30 and then you made
yes,
like 45, so you would spend all
yes,
45 on the next one, do the same thing.
yep.
And that's when you convert it even better because you changed the offer up.
Yeah. Only I didn't end up doing that. And that is because there was one thing that was, our ad started breaking during our second promo. Because, of course, there's going to be some nuances. But yeah, our ad started breaking, and it disabled my ability to continue to scale up the spend. But I actually was planning on spending closer to $50,000 on that second event, because I'm like, as long as I make my money back, I'm fine. Like, I'm not any worse off. At least at this point, I've got more reach, I've got more customers. Even if I don't have more profit, so long as I'm not losing money, I'm no better off. Or I'm sorry, I'm no worse off. I'm actually only better off. So anyway, that's my thoughts on it. Some people will go, I think the biggest mistake people make is they'll do an event and they make more money than what they realized they were going to, and they almost get uncomfortable with that. It's almost like a lottery winner. I'm not trying to imply that, like, this is going to happen for anyone. Just to be very clear, this is just behavior I've seen with past clients. They will make more money than what they probably anticipated to make, and so then I think there's something with, like, your identity and how you view money. It's like, ooh, I didn't realize I was going to make that much. okay, like now I have all this extra responsibility. I've got more clients than I realized I was going to have. Okay, I better take my foot off the gas. And instead of blowing it, they just lose all their momentum and they'll go like 6 months before they go do another event because they're like, no, I just need to like steward well with the clients I just got, which sure you do, but that doesn't mean you're supposed to take your foot off the gas. Like you
Yeah.
got to keep momentum up. Momentum is a universal law. It's very hard to get and very easy to lose. And so
I
anyway,
see,
it's
I
like,
talk about money that same way. Money in motion stays in motion,
yeah.
and the IRS wants you to be spending and using it to make the economy better. They don't want you to
Mm-hmm.
save. They don't want you to put money into some shoebox called a 401k that's stuck on Wall Street.
Yeah.
Doesn't help the economy. They don't
Yep.
reward that.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot on. So yeah, I mean, I just saw this happen with a client. I won't say her.
Yeah, don't say names.
Yeah, I won't say. There's actually two specific clients this just happened with a guy and a girl. One made a little bit of money, and they're like, "Cool, let's do it again." And they made 35 grand the first time, and then they did it again. They made $110,000, and that was a significant jump from what they thought they were going to make. And then they went radio silent. And they were a consulting client, so we couldn't force them to go do anything. But yeah, they went radio silent for a few months, and then I finally got a hold of him, and he was like, "Dude, what's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I made 110 grand." I'm like, "Okay, great.
Let's
When are you
make
gonna make it
220.
again?" And he's like, "Yeah, I should probably do another event at some point in the future." It's like, yeah, he's just totally coasted the last few months. But he did the 35K month, and then the very next month he did 110K because 35K wasn't enough for him to like shift his behavior, but 110K very clearly was. And then I saw someone else, she did about $120,000 on her first event, and she'd never even sold from stage before. She had never sold virtually, like not like this before, and so she was not expecting anything like that at all. And she then started going to the expat lifestyle. Like, cool, I'm just going to go to live in like random third world countries for the next couple months, and hey, enjoy it for sure, but like, don't let your foot off the gas. You could do both. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's the biggest mistake I usually see entrepreneurs make.
With technology, you can do a live event with monkeys in the trees in the
It's
background.
true. It's true. If anything, it'd probably be more engaging.
Yeah, right. That's a good lesson. Because my next question was about, you talk about repeatable systems,
Yeah.
and how often are these people doing like monthly events or quarterly, or
Yeah.
do
Most
most
people do monthly.
most of them are doing monthly, same structure format, and then with little
Yep.
tweaks along the way.
Yep.
And then talk to me about a good success, like a 12-month stint. If I go for 12 months, what would be, talk about one of your better results.
Yeah. So once again, most people do monthly. And the person that I would say has had some of the best results, I won't say their specific name, um, but they worked with us for about 19 months in a row. And fully transparent, they came to us with a bit of a bigger budget. So they were already a seven-figure business when they came to us. And we have some clients come to us when they're doing 300 grand a year, but other clients come to us when they're making 10 million a year. So everyone's going to have a different starting point. They started off with a test budget of around $100,000, and that netted them, well, it grossed them about $500,000 in revenue on their first event. And they're like, hey, it worked well. Let's repeat successful actions. And they started redoing that event every single month on the month, 19 months in a row.
Nine,
You say what?
19 months in a row. That
Yeah.
almost 2 years. They just kept going.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're technically still going on this, just to be very, very clear. I'm just no longer working with them. But the last I knew their numbers, at least, directly attributable revenue of, if you look at all of those 19 events in a row cumulatively, they did about 10.9 million in collected revenue, directly cash from the pitch. This is not salespeople working deals. This is just selling a higher ticket offer priced somewhere between 5 and 10 grand. They adjusted price points along the way, but 5 to 10 grand in price point, buying direct from a checkout page during the virtual event. And they spent about 4.2 million to make that happen. So you're looking at like 6.7 ish in directly attributable profits from that. And once again, that's before salespeople work deals. So if you include salespeople working those deals, um, conservatively, you could probably add another 10 to 15 million dollars in cash collected revenue that they had over that course of that time. So call it 4.2 in ad spend, and you're looking at I don't know, 20, $25 million in cash collected revenue.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So
Can you
that would be a, obviously that's like
15
a baller case study, but
for sure.
everyone's different.
Yeah, but 15 years ago, I mean, this was unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, selling from stage and making seven figures in an hour or 2 hours or a day is like, when could anyone do that
Yeah.
15 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. It truly is crazy. It's like, it's life changing. I don't mean to make it seem like it's the lottery, but there's no other, I've not seen anything else like it in marketing because you got to, I don't think people understand the difference between selling one-on-one versus selling one-to-many. When you're selling one-on-one, you could go scale up your ads, but you're going to have a lot more bottlenecks along the way because you're limited to the amount of time you can talk with prospects. And so then it's like, okay, well, I'm fully booked out on my calendar. So now let's hire and then train and manage a sales pro. And then, okay, now we got to get a second sales pro and then maybe get a sales manager and then maybe get SDRs. And it's like you're building a full on sales team to support a 500K a month operation when I have seen people solo go do $250,000 in a day on their first event without a single sales pro on their team in general. They didn't know how to hire a salesperson. They were literally selling a $1,000 or $2,000 offer. They made 250K, and the prior month they made 20 grand. I mean, it literally changes lives.
So what you're talking about is called margin.
Yeah,
And in your world, I joke about marketers. It's very common for marketers to talk top line revenue
sure.
because it sounds better.
I'll talk profit if you want.
No, yeah, I just love it. I like because you're breaking it down like what the first part of this we broke down like cost and ad spend, all that stuff.
Yep.
But when you look at those numbers, it's incredible. I mean, you look at the financial world and they do the same thing. They talk top line. They'll talk rate of return as if that's what the client's actually getting, and they're not counting fees and
Yeah.
taxes and all these things. So I like breaking down everything. Like when someone says we're doing 3 million a month, well, they're spending 1.5 to
Yep.
get there, and they have an operate like their net margin is probably 15, maybe 20% if they're crushing it.
Yeah.
Which is still really good. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's not 3 million.
Correct.
So when does it? What's a red flag that you think someone's not ready to do a paid event? Like if you're okay, yeah,
yeah. I've got a laundry list. No, okay. In general, number one, this is a I don't know how else to say it other than like it's money mindset. Like because I talked earlier about you've got to have at least a $5,000 service to make this make sense. There's a lot of people that they think that's a lot of money in terms of like I am a business owner. I'm currently selling $1,000 offer, and sure now Zach is here telling me that I have to have a $5,000 offer, but that sounds like a lot of money. Or like my audience is going to feel like that's a lot of money. If you believe your audience's objections and their limitations, and you let them have a higher conviction in their own limitations than you have on your high value that you're bringing to the table, please don't do this because people can sense like you could even have a pretty bad offer, but if you have more conviction on how great your offer is and why people need it, then the audience has conviction around their limitations, they're still going to end up buying it. And so, long story short, if you think that 5K is a lot of money, or if you think that 10K is a lot of money, as far as like your services go, please just don't do this right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to like go surround yourself with some other data and kind of reshift how you look at money. Another one would be if you're afraid of failing. Obviously, everything in business, there is no guarantee in business, except for you're probably going to end up paying taxes at some point. And so I say the failing because people's first event, while yes, they do usually do relatively well, at least when they work with us, it's not always super sexy returns on that first event. And it's a crap ton of work. And so I want you to picture yourself, if you're like, Matt, I know you're a parent, but for the person that's like that, I don't know. Let's just picture that you're a parent right now, and you have a little boy that's wanting to learn how to go play baseball.
Yeah.
And they've been working for a full summer straight, or let's say a full winter straight, learning how to swing a baseball bat. And they're watching YouTube videos, and they're practicing. They're swinging that bat in the yard. They're getting ready, and then they go to practice, and they're starting to learn a little bit more. They're learning more nuances of the game. But then their first game comes, They get up to the bait or the home plate.
But yeah,
They go take that swing and they strike out. If they went back to the dugout and they told either the coach or they told you as a parent, they said, "This doesn't work for me. I'm done." Any logical parent would be like, "No, what do you mean it doesn't work for you?" Like, first of all, a kid wouldn't say that because a kid doesn't think like that. A kid's not that emotional. A kid's like,
right.
okay, well, I just got to go back up to the bat. But in case they were just traumatized by that one failure, you as the parent or a coach would be like, buddy, you just got to get back up to the plate. We're going to get you better. Like, hey, you made contact, you hit a foul ball, but then you ended up striking out. You just got to get back up to the plate. We're going to get you better. Same thing with these events. You have no idea how you're going to convert on your first one. And so if you're afraid of that failure on that first one, and if you bet the whole farm on your first event and you don't have enough money in ad budget or the time or emotional energy to say, hey, I'm willing to go back up to the plate again and try this thing again, don't do it. It's just not for you.
Dude,
And
in
then
baseball, if you hit 3 out of 10 attempts,
you're one of the best.
you're going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
crazy. I
Yep.
mean, that's a great example because there's more failure than success. I saw Roger Federer talk about this, the tennis player.
Yeah.
He gave a commencement speech and he said he broke down the stats, and I'm going to butcher this, but it was like he won a point 51% of the time.
Wow.
It was razor thin how many more points he won versus how many
That's
he lost.
wild.
Yeah, Google that when we're done.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll pop up. It's a commencement speech for some college, but
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
dude, that's
crazy.
crazy. He's
Yeah.
because he's one of the best that's ever lived.
Yeah. Yeah. That is like genuinely wild. So last thing I'll say, there I can come up with a few other things, but for sake of time, the one that's really, really important here, you don't have to be the best speaker in the world. It's okay.
That's
if
a
you're
really big misconception, I think, too.
a huge. Yeah. Huge. We've had some people that it's like, you look like you're on the Geek Squad and sound like you're on the Geek Squad. Like you're the type of person I want you to come fix my computer when it's broken.
But does their offer match their personality?
Yeah. Yes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. We're just gonna say yes.
Yeah.
I think that's a good blanket statement. But they still crush. So it's not about your speaking ability. It's not about how great of a salesperson you are. There are systems that you can follow that make this thing that take some of the learning curve out.
Because they're not buying a professional speaker. They're buying a solution.
Amen. But the issue is, if you're the type of person that you feel like you need to read word for word from a script,
yeah,
please don't do this.
Yeah.
It's yes, you should have a speaker outline. We work with all of our clients on like roughly what you should say and how you should format your entire presentation between both days and everything. But if you feel like you need to read word for word from a script, immediately you should just not do this. And the reason why is because we talked about AI at the beginning of this. People are so used to AI perfection and people trying to look perfect online. The one thing that people need more now than ever before is real human connection. And they need to see that you are being genuine and authentic. Yeah. And this is actually your time to show your human side. This is your time to actually just riff, say, hey, okay, cool. I've got my one slide with this one little point. Cool. Now let me riff with y'all for like 3 to 5 minutes before we get to the next point.
Yeah.
Not reading from a script, just like having some fun, showing some personality. Oh, dang, my wife walked in the room or my dog just barked or whatever. That's okay. All right. People are also real. And this helps humanize everything. And it helps build trust. And they see, wow, this person's being real. They're genuinely an expert. They're not trying to be perfect for me. They're just spitting real facts and game. This makes sense. I like this person. So,
I mean, even social media content, the authenticity stuff is what looks better. That's what people watch. I mean, that's why I have my Legos in my backgrounds to just share personality rather than just have I live a fake. I have a fake background on the sea, or like that one from Zoom that says that looks like you're on a beach. I mean, that's funny, but I know nothing about that person other than they might be kind of goofy.
Yeah. So it's anyway. If you're afraid of being real, if you feel like you need that perfected word for word presentation, if you feel like you need a perfect background, no, don't bother. Like it's okay if you're literally at your kitchen table on your laptop using 720 megapixel webcam. Like
you got to go for 1080. I'm a 1080 fan, but I don't like the 720.
I agree, Matt. I agree, but it's okay. I'd rather you be real than be perfect.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, we're getting to the end here. I want to ask you a little bit of a switch question. You're a faithful guy. I've recently been on this journey of, faith. And how do you weave faith into your business growth and capacity?
Yeah.
I think you mentioned capacity before increase.
Yeah.
Talk to me
So
about that.
uh, there are so many different examples I can give, but let's talk principles for a second. Be who you are, and things will naturally present themselves. So, in terms of faith, if you truly are a person of faith and you're truly tethered to the Lord, you're walking step by step, hand in hand with Him, you're spending time every day in the Word, spending time in prayer, you will naturally exude the fruit of the Spirit. The Word talks about that. The fruit of the Spirit is not something that everyone has in the marketplace. So, for example, you might lose a, a very, very large sum of money in business. A business deal might go bad. And you might go grab dinner with someone, and that person's like, hey, tell me about business. And you tell them about XYZ thing that just happened. And you say it with either a smile on your face or they could genuinely see that you have real peace. There will be the inevitable question of how do you feel? Like, how are you just so at peace about this? And you're like, well, the Lord's got me. Like, here's what the Lord was telling me throughout my prayer earlier, da 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 da. It's like, now you're not even trying to force it in. It's just like, no, I'm just telling you about like what I felt like God was telling me earlier today. You're just being a real human. But you're getting to tell other people about a very real relationship that you have and the fruit of that. So that's like one example. More tactical examples, like for myself, I do oftentimes talk about how when I came up with the idea when I felt like God was telling me to go all in on paid virtual events, I felt as if He had also told me about a year prior to only use biblically driven principles in business. And so I prayed about it. I'm like, God, how in the world do virtual events have anything to do with the Bible? Like, where in the Bible would I find to support that I should be doing virtual events? And He so lovingly said, how did Jesus grow His ministry? I said, well, He gave sermons. I said,
One to
yeah, He
many.
spoke to the masses. I said, huh, that's an interesting point. He said, yeah, go do some math. So the sermon of the 5,000, for example, or the feeding of the 5,000, for example, if you do the math on this, there's like 11 to 12,000 people that were roughly there if you include women and children. And if you do the math, let's just say conservatively there were 11,000 people on a one-on-one model. This is ridiculous, but once again, we're just having fun here. If Jesus in a sales-like environment was having one-on-one consults with those people or one-on-one sermons to these people for 11,000 people, it would have taken him like over 5.5 years to reach every single one of the people that were in that crowd that day. And then I was like, well, yeah, but God, Jesus had a sales team, okay? Like He had disciples. Like He had 12 people to maybe we should say 11 people that were actually good that were trying to, go do some good work for Him. He's like, cool, do the math on that. It was still going to take, if all disciples, let's say, for sake of example, let's say all 12 of them were actually working 8-hour days, having 8 appointments per day, and they had 100% show rate, which anyone in sales knows that it's like you're never going to have that. But if they did, it still would have taken them like 6 months to impact 11,000 people, as compared to Jesus got to speak to all of them in one afternoon, because God is a God of multiplication, and He does not do things that are small. He does things that can multiply, and He has called us to go multiply. First words to humanity, Genesis 1, chapter 28. Be fruitful, do multiply, have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the sky. Like, there are so many different, even in Matthew chapter 25:14, when it talks about the parable of the talents, we're called to multiply what God has given us. And so I say all this to say, when people ask me about like, why do I like to do events? It's like, well, number one, God told me to, but number two, Jesus spoke to the masses. So why shouldn't we build our business in the same way that He built His ministry, the ministry that's still running today? It's like, I don't know. It seems to be quite a bit more efficient. Seems like we can multiply our business quite a bit faster, huh?
Bro, I
It
don't
just
think you
logically
could.
makes sense.
I don't think you could have had a better answer for that. That was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, and now here we are, and this is a business oriented podcast, business oriented financial conversation, and I'm there might be someone listening to this that's never heard of those things in the Bible that I just got to tell them about. And not from a place of like, hey, like, let me tell you about Jesus and like, let me, like, you need to go give your life to the Lord. I'm not saying that. Highly encourage it, but that's up to you. Um, but I'm getting to naturally talk about something that is very real. That's like, even an atheist would be like, okay, no, even if I'm an atheist, this still makes sense. Speaking to the masses makes sense, and cool, kind of makes sense. The backstory on this, like, it's just, it's natural. It's not. I'm not trying to force anything. Does that make sense?
Dude, it's wonderful. Yeah,
So
I love it. I love how you brought up the talents too.
yeah,
What a great story. Because in the financial world, it can be a very shallow existence as an advisor,
yeah,
which I've tried to stay away from my entire career. But more money doesn't mean better life. It doesn't mean a better why. It doesn't help a lot of things at the end of the day.
yeah.
So,
Can I give
but
one small thing real
yeah,
quick? One other small example. If someone's listening to this that may be a believer that's trying to understand a little bit more about marketplace ministry, one of the easiest things you could do is simply pray before every single meeting you have, or even pray before every day, and just say, God, would you lead me today and tactically show me what to do and speak through me in my meetings? And the number of times that I've been on a meeting with someone that we weren't supposed to be talking about faith or anything, but I prayed right beforehand. I'm like, God, this is your meeting. Like that, we're all your children. Like, would you just lead through this call? And I'll get on the call and I'll say, hey man, like, how are you? They're like, personally or business? I'm like, uh, yes, both. I don't know what's going on. And they'll just like, th- just tell me about some trauma that's going on that has literally nothing to do with the purpose on why we're supposed to be talking that day, but it will have literally everything to do with what I was just reading in the Bible that morning. I'll be like, well, I literally just prayed that God bless this meeting. And it's like, and so I'll even say, like, can I be really bold here? And like, can I share something with you that I was actually just reading about in the Bible today that like I felt like I needed to highlight this morning? And I don't even know why I needed to highlight it, but I think it's for you. They're like, sure. I get to tell them. And they're like, thank you so much for sharing that. And like, I might get to pray with someone that day or pray with them on that meeting. Like just yesterday, I ended a sales call praying for someone because they just needed it. It's like,
yeah.
just be real, just be bold, and let God work through you. He'll show up, but you got to be willing to let him use you as that light in the marketplace.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes. I'm going to read this, and then I want people to be able to find you online. I've screenshot this. Gosh, this was 11 years ago. It's one of my oldest pictures on my phone.
Okay.
It says, the true spirit of conversation consists less of displaying one's own cleverness than in bringing out the cleverness of other people.
Mm.
The person who quits your company satisfied with herself or what she said will surely be quite satisfied with you. And how often do we try to just puke all over people about what we think we know? And the true spirit of conversation is actually listening.
Yeah.
So with that, Zach, this is a great interview.
Yeah.
Where can people find you online? How can they get a hold of you?
Yeah. Personal level, Instagram's probably best. Just Zach Hesterberg, Instagram. I don't have any setters running my account. Okay. So you're not going to get some automatic message to say, hey, why'd you follow me? Like, no, just go, whatever. Hit me up on Instagram. If you want more business content, specifically around virtual events or even marketplace ministry, both of those I talk about usually on a weekly basis on YouTube. And if you're interested in like designing an actual virtual event or you want our help actually doing this thing, just go to paidevents.com. We'll make sure to take care of you.
Love it, dude. Thank you so much for your time. If you're listening, thank you for being here. Make sure you follow Zach on all the socials and give him a call if you want to do a paid event. I think it could be very profitable and repeatable, which is my favorite part about that whole thing. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Zach, talk to you soon, buddy.
Pleasure.